In our agenda today, cyber news and headlines include trust being turned on its head as attackers exploit the very systems designed to help, manipulating Meta's AI support chatbot to hijack Instagram accounts. Meanwhile, a rare defensive win emerges with Dutch authorities dismantling a massive botnet connected to 17 million infected devices, showing that disruption can work at scale. But that progress is tempered by familiar weaknesses, as another Palo Alto authentication bypass flaw falls under active exploitation, keeping the pressure firmly on the perimeter. Beneath that, core protocols are once again in the spotlight with a net logon remote code execution vulnerability actively targeted in the wild. On the global stage, cyber criminals lean into the moment as FIFA-themed spoofing campaigns trigger an FBI warning ahead of the World Cup. And finally, the stakes rise sharply in the Middle East, where Iran-linked actors move beyond access and into impact, wiping IT systems, backups, and recovery capabilities to leave organizations with nowhere to run. John Kendrick is taking a well-earned break this week, so we're switching things up with a brand new segment. I will be divulging the details of a threat actor profile, one of the world's most active cybercrime groups, and currently ranked as the second most prolific gang operating globally. And then we'll round things out with a tech talk session where we'll take a step away from the headlines and into a more hands-on view, focusing on how organizations can practically strengthen and maintain their security foundations through automation. That'll be delivered by Stephen Gates from our CDC Infrastructure Resilience team, who will be sharing a more technical behind-the-scenes look at how this works in practice. Please feel free to raise any questions throughout the briefing or save them until the end, where one of our Cyber Defense Centre experts will be on hand to respond. AI support exploited for account takeover. Attackers manipulated Meta AI-powered Instagram support chatbot to gain unauthorized access to accounts, bypassing traditional email ownership checks. By tricking the bot into adding attacker-controlled email addresses and initiating password resets, they successfully compromised high-profile accounts. The vulnerability has now been patched, but the incident reinforces a growing concern. AI-driven support workflows can introduce new attack paths if not tightly controlled. Major botnet disrupted at scale. Dutch authorities have dismantled a large-scale botnet linked to around 17 million infected devices spanning everything from smartphones to IoT. The infrastructure tied to residential proxy abuse highlights how compromised devices are being repurposed to quietly support criminal operations. It's a reminder that basic hygiene, patching, strong authentication, and secure home and enterprise networks remain critical at scale. VPN vulnerability under active exploitation. A critical authentication bypass flaw in Palo Alto's Global Protect VPN is now under active exploitation. Attackers are using forged session cookies to bypass login controls entirely, gaining access without valid credentials. Organizations are being urged to patch immediately or apply mitigations. This is a clear case where delay directly increases exposure. Core protocol weaknesses targeted. A severe netlogon remote code execution vulnerability rated 9.8 is actively being exploited in the wild. The flaw allows attackers to gain full system level control without user interaction, putting domain controllers directly at risk. Immediate patching and close monitoring are essential, particularly across critical infrastructure environments. World Cup themed scam surge. The FBI has issued a warning around spoofed FIFA websites ahead of the 2026 World Cup. Threat actors are leveraging typo squatting and search manipulation to trick users into handing over personal data or purchasing fake tickets. The message is simple: stick to official sources and treat sponsored links with caution. Destructive attacks escalate in the Middle East. Iran-linked threat actors have carried out highly destructive campaigns targeting organizations across the US and Middle East. Unlike traditional attacks focused on access or exfiltration, these operations are designed to destroy, wiping IT systems, backups, and recovery mechanisms. It's a stark shift in intent, reinforcing the importance of resilient, isolated backup strategies and tested recovery plans. And that's it for the cyber news this week. As mentioned, we are launching a new segment today, Threat Actor Profile. Last week, we highlighted the rapid rise of a ransomware group making serious waves, the Gentlemen, now believed to be responsible for around 10% of global ransomware attacks. Given that momentum, it's worth taking a closer look at how they've scaled so quickly and what's driving that level of activity in such a short space of time. The gentleman, also tracked as Storm 2697, is a relatively new ransomware group that emerged around mid-2025 and operates under a ransomware as a service model. This means the core developers provide the ransomware tooling to affiliates who then carry out attacks, allowing the group to scale operations quickly and target multiple organizations at once. Technically, the ransomware is quite advanced. It uses strong encryption methods, including per-file encryption keys, which makes recovery without backups extremely difficult. They also use what's known as double extortion, not only encrypting the victim's data, but also threatening to leak it publicly if the ransom is not paid, increasing pressure on organizations to comply. A key characteristic that makes this group particularly dangerous is its worm-like capability. Once inside a network, the ransomware can spread laterally using multiple techniques, allowing it to quickly move across systems and potentially impact an entire organization before detection. Before encryption begins, the malware typically attempts to escalate privileges and disable security controls, which helps it evade detection and maximize the damage. The group targets a wide range of industries globally, including healthcare, finance, manufacturing, and education, essentially any organization with valuable data or operational dependency. They are also known to recruit affiliates through the underground forums, which further expands their reach and makes attribution and response more complex. Overall, the combination of strong encryption, automated spread, and an organized affiliate model makes the gentleman a high-risk ransomware threat, particularly for organizations that lack mature monitoring, segmentation, or incident response capabilities. Now moving into our technical deep dive, this is where we go beyond the headlines and get into the how. Today we're focusing on what it really takes to enforce and maintain strong security baselines in a world where environments are constantly changing. More specifically, how we can leverage remote monitoring and management tools such as Ninja One to bring consistency, control and automation into that process. To walk us through this, I'm joined by Stephen Gates, our infrastructure resilience lead. Stephen brings over 25 years of experience in IT architecture and systems engineering with deep expertise in high security defense environments, military grade infrastructure, and regulatory compliance. He's also the architect behind our automated defense and endpoint compliance strategy. And today he's going to show us how we use automation to eliminate security drift in real time and what good really looks like when it comes to modern RMM capability. Stephen, over to you.
Thank you, Callum. How you doing, guys? Morning. So quickly, if you go to slide 1, Callum, please. So this slide's basically just to establish our core operations foundation. Quick look at the day-to-day engine of our GT co-managed endpoint solution, the standard RMM, automated OS and third-party software patching, and infrastructure and SaaS backup layers. The platform allows our engineering team and your internal IT team to work from a single pane of glass. Next, please, Callum. We're going to look at the attack surface reality. We'll step away from basic operations and look at how threats can exploit identity persistence and the critical danger of security drift, the quiet gaps that traditional security tools can miss. And then finally, we'll transition into a live demo. I'm going to take you through just basically a domain joined machine and show you just one example of our custom automation detects an active security violation and self-heals the endpoint within seconds. So as live demos go, I'm going to attempt to share my screen. You guys can see this?
Certainly can.
So we talk a lot about reducing the attack surface, but let's look at what that actually means when a machine is compromised or an insider goes rogue. This machine here, you can see, is just a standard demo machine joined to a PC, joined to a domain with very little on it at the moment. One of the most common things an attacker or an unauthorized user will do is create a local administrator account to maintain persistence if they lose an additional foothold. Under our GT co-managed model, our engineering team builds the foundational guardrails so your internal team doesn't have to spend their days policing configuration baselines. So just on this machine here, just give you a before and after view, I suppose. Local administrators group just has a couple of local administrators in. List of users, again, bare minimum. We've generated a user called Olympus. I'm going to quickly generate 3 other administrators. If we go here, as demos go, there you go, rogue admin 1, 2, and 3. And then if I refresh this, you'll be able to see their actual accounts. Switching over to the RMM platform, keep an eye on the activity side over here on the right. Many of our clients already have world-class tools like CrowdStrike Falcon deployed by us. CrowdStrike is excellent at hunting threats and killing active malware, but what happens about operational blind spots, legitimate administrative drift? If an insider or attacker uses native Windows tools to create a local admin account, it doesn't look like malware. It looks like a normal IT task. In a traditional IT environment, that machine sits vulnerable and nobody knows about it until a manual audit happens down the line, if at all. This is where our GT solution steps in to bridge the gap between threat detection and identity compliance, because our team maps our proprietary security policies directly into the Windows event architecture. Our solution doesn't sit back and wait for a scan. Within seconds, hopefully, live demo, our system architecture catches the event for the group modification. If you look at the active logs for the asset, our platform engine should, any second now, automatically flag the machine as non-compliant, can generate an alert to our SOC, and already deploy a solution to remediate the tasks in the background. Again, it's a live demo. Any second now, you'll see the events change. I don't want to sit in silence. There we go.
They have changed, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. There you go. So, it felt like an eternity then. So you can see there the activity it basically scours the event logs, picks up the events, the rogue events, and will not only disable the account but remove admin rights from those devices or those users. So you can see here, if I again refresh this, all 3 accounts have been disabled, and then back into the administrators. I thought it was going to work then. The administrators group has then been returned back to its standard state. This happens completely silently with 0 engineering downtime spent, closing the critical security drift window in seconds, or maybe slightly longer in a live demo. Because it's a co-managed service, your internal IT teams have the power to create automations within this ecosystem too. Our goal isn't to lock you out, it's to multiply your capabilities. I also want to emphasize what I've shown is a relatively simple automation baseline that we use for demo purposes. The true value of the GT solution framework is that it's entirely modular. We can handle the exhaustive critical security baseline, so your internal IT team is freed up to do the high value work. Whether it's something along the lines of custom BitLocker compliance enforcement or immediate removal of highly specified unapproved software, large-scale emergency 0-day vulnerability patching, we can build the architecture to fit your risk profile. And this is how we enforce security baseline at scale. That ends my my demo.